I had no idea you had this huge resume behind you, because you've just done so much work, and it was so refreshing to meet somebody that was just so humble about. You weren't like, yeah, well, I've done all these things, so welcome to LA. How can I help you? It was just like the intro to the voice acting community, and it was really, really lovely. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, I had no idea that's how you felt. Honestly, that means a lot to me. Just because when I got into the animation world, it was so scary, and I didn't have anybody, like, no one really did that for me. So if I meet someone new, then, like, I'm always like, hey, let's hang out, because, like, I don't know where they're at, or like, but obviously if I haven't met them, then it's nice to make new friends. And it's such an isolated community. You go in, you wave hello, it's just in passing, and I'm a very social person, so I was just excited to get to know you, and I'm glad it was, it means a lot to me too, to get
and we were booked for 4 hours, but we only recorded one, and then we were done. So all of a sudden we had extra hours. We're like, what do we do with this? Let's get coffee. And it was great, because I was brand new to LA. So I also needed to just connect and understand how LA and the voice community worked. And you were awesome to talk to.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. Oh, you were awesome to talk to. I had a blast. I wish we had more chances to hang out, and I'm glad we're hanging out now. So this is
I know. Thank you for joining. Guys, so I know a lot of you have seen the post on Insta and Twitter. Christina has done a ton of stuff, including Poison Ivy in DC Superheroes, Jessica Cruz in Lego DC Superheroes, Annie and Amumu. Is that how Amumu from League of Legends. I know we got some League fans. How does she sound?
Amumu is like really sad about everything, and he like just really wants friends. So like, but he's like really, he's kind of, he just can never make any friends, and so he's always like, can I give you a hug? Let me give you a hug. It's like, but he's like creepy, so that's.
Rory and Jace is like, wait, you voiced Amumu? I think people are probably assuming it was a dude.
No.
And we have an Amumu main in the house. Hi, Hank Straz.
Hey.
You also do Baby Carlitos and Casa Grandes, which we have to talk about. Charlene and Victor and Valentino, and Teresa and Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures, among a bunch of other things. Because you also work on freaking Monster. What's that called? Monster Teen
Monster High. That was a while ago, but yeah, we did Monster High. I do a little of everything. Actually, the most recent thing, which is actually really exciting for me, which is I've been voicing Hello Kitty in a newer show, and like that's like for all the girly nerds. Like,
wait, actual Hello Kitty?
Yeah, I'm Hello Kitty in this little Sanrio series.
What does that sound like?
Oh, she actually doesn't speak really, so it's more like little just like it's like just little like I just do little like effort.
Oh my god, it's so great.
Yeah.
So like I want to break all of these down for sure, but I want to start a little bit at the beginning, because you started your voice acting career when you were 8.
I was very small.
How did this go down?
It was an accident. So my parents are both performers, and my mother, but they're actually both singers, all different types of things. But my mother actually got an agent because she wanted to do some voiceover work, because she was trying to make some extra money on the side from her singing career. And so I was just basically accompanying her on her auditions. So I was just waiting in the waiting room at one of them, and they came out and they were like, well, actually, we're looking for a kid for this role. Does your daughter want to try? They saw me sitting there, and my mom was like, do you want to try? And I was like, sure. And so I went in and I booked the job, and it was like this like $3,000 job, and it turned out like the casting director, his name was Ned Lott. I don't know if you know who that is, but he did Disney character voices. He does all the casting for Miyazaki. Like, he's like this huge casting director. At the time, he was working for a different company. This was before he did all that, but so I did that thing, and they kept calling me in. And then there was a couple of other things where my mom was recording some albums in recording studios, and she did a bunch of kids albums. So she'd bring in all these little kids to like do little choruses of like, I can't even think of the kids songs, but so I'd go in too, and like we'd do these little kids choruses, and I guess some of the recording engineers would notice me for whatever reason, and they'd be like, hey, we want to bring her in for some other stuff. And so I just got called. Like, I never really auditioned for anything. And so learning how to audition later in life was really interesting, because I just was so spoiled. I was totally spoiled, yeah, because I was just like, they just call me, right? Like, sounds ridiculous. But no, so I would just got called all growing up, and this was before the internet, really was a thing. And so I was just kind of it's harder to get kid talent. And since my parents were performers, I had grown up basically, and they were very poor. So like they were just like had me at all their gigs. Like there was no babysitters really, and they were like, "Here, kid, just hold this maraca. Why don't you dance a little? You'll be part of the show."
Your mom, your dad's Peruvian. Your mom's Mexican.
My mom grew up in Mexico. She's actually she calls herself the gringa chilanga. She's a white girl who grew up in Mexico.
Like me. I'm a white girl who grew up in Colombia, but yeah.
Right. So she speaks perfect Spanish. She's perfectly bilingual. But yeah, she grew up there, and she could not be more Mexican, honestly. Like she's like just Mexican through and through. She sings mariachi, all kinds of things. But she is, and that's why I'm lighter skinned, is because of her. And my dad, yes, was born and raised in Peru.
And so they were both in the music world and singing, and so like you grew up in kind of a musical household.
Yes, it was just they were musicians. That's how they fell in love. That's what they loved to do. And so and we were just starving artist kind of upbringing, and they really couldn't afford babysitters very often. So they would just take me to their shows, and they would just try to put me in the show whenever, like, to try to make it work. And so I just kind of grew up like performing because that was just normal in our family. And so I was really outgoing. I wasn't scared of, I had no stage fright. I didn't get nervous. If you asked me to do something, I'd do it right away. It was not like a thing. So I just took direction really well from a really young age. And so I guess that just worked really well. And I was bilingual and I sing. And so like that was very, it was just like kind of a little, what they call it, being like a little unicorn at the time. Like there was just a lot of different skills. And so I just didn't know that it was special, but I did it all growing up, and I just thought it was a fun way to miss school. Like I didn't think of anything of it.
I love it.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like, and like my mom would just give me $20, and I'd get to miss school, and I was like, "This is awesome!" Like, it never occurred to me I would do it for a job.
Half the planet,
later, ever. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then you finish high school, and what happens at this point? You're recording a ton. Like, when did you say, "Oh, I could do this full time as a job"? How do I do this?
Right. So what I did, I did all growing up, and then when I went to college across the country on the East Coast, and all of a sudden, all of my little voiceover clients, I didn't have any, and so
where'd you go to college?
Boston University, BU.
Have we talked about this?
No,
I went to BC.
You did?
Wow! Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. Fun. Yeah. Close, but not quite there.
Very different, like massive versus small. But yeah, that's so interesting. But yes, I was there, and I had no way to make money, and I was trying to help, pay for, just basic living expenses. And I was working at like Jamba Juice because it was like one of the only jobs I could get.
Okay.
For like $7 an hour, and I was like, and I was used to getting paid a lot more. And now let me be clear, everyone: voice actors don't make a lot of money. People like think we make a very high hourly rate, but we might not work very often. And so people are like, "Oh my God, you make so much an hour." And it's like, yeah, but that's not 8 hours a day, and so anyway, I just want to clarify
every once in a while. Exactly. Yes.
Right. And I think that's just something people just think we make all this money and that we're working for, $300 an hour all day. And it's like, no, that might be like
or they think that like the video game company that employed us pays us like a yearly salary, when it's like we worked that 1 gig or 2 gigs, and then they don't take care of anything for us.
Yeah, that's
health insurance, none of that.
Yeah, and it's just I like to clarify that, because before I tell you what rate I was used to working for, let me clarify. But I had to work a lot more hours to get to that 1 hour of my time.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to go to school too at the same time, it would have been much more helpful to do voiceover.
Of course.
So I was used to making, at least $200 or $300 for, a couple hours, or an hour of work, and to do that for $7 an hour, it was just so much more work, and that was fine. It was just like, when you're trying to pay your way through school, it would have been much more helpful to have that extra income, since my parents couldn't help me much.
Yeah.
So I decided to go back home to California. I went to UC Berkeley instead, and I worked for a recording studio. So I got a job there, and that was honestly the best education I could have ever asked for.
Wow. Yeah.
I was an in-house voice actor for them. So that was and it was really hard to leave. I was like a salaried voice actor for them, which was incredible. They paid me a flat weekly fee to voice as much as they wanted me to voice. And so it was good for them because I got cheap voiceover, and then I got like a regular salary and a 401k, you know?
Yeah.
And when I wasn't voicing, I did their talent casting and like, you know, other just kind of admin stuff. And
That's amazing because that teaches you so much too about listening to other people's auditions, demos.
It did. It was seriously, again, it was like the best education ever. So I did their voice talent direction stuff. I booked all the sessions. I did some directing. I learned how to edit. It was so valuable because since they were paying me a flat weekly fee, then they wanted to put me in the studio as much as possible. So anything that came in, that they were like, try it. Because if I booked it, then the company got to keep the extra proceeds and they just had to pay me my flat hourly rate. So I got to try everything.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think just like it really helped me expand my range at the time because I was trying things that I would never normally be sent. And it was just phenomenal. So I was there for 6 years and it was just a great job. I loved it.
Wow.
And so that was how I decided to, you know, really go back to voiceover because, you know, I realized what a wonderful job I was. I loved it. And then I left that because I got injured actually and I couldn't type anymore. And then I couldn't do admin work at all after I had a terrible accident, snowboarding accident. And that changed my life. I had to relearn how to walk. It was like just devastating. It was a 7-year rehab altogether. It was truly just terrible. If anyone's ever been through something like that, it's just devastating. But that's actually what gave me the courage out of absolute necessity to become a full-time voice actor because I couldn't do anything else. I literally physically could not hold down another job. I tried a couple of other part-time jobs and like I physically just couldn't keep up because of my injury.
Holy cow.
So voiceover, making it work full-time was what I could do. And I was like, okay, if that's the case. And I was getting sicker and sicker. I was like really ill. When I moved to LA, I hadn't figured out exactly what was wrong with me. I'd seen doctor after doctor, and I was very, very thin, losing weight. Like my hair was falling out. It was like truly terrible. It was devastating. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna just move to LA, chase my dream, because I was in such bad shape. I was like, I honestly didn't really know what the future was going to look like. I knew that the amount of pain I was in was excruciating, and I didn't have any answers, and I didn't know what to do. So I emptied my 401k and I was like, I'm just going to move to LA and I'm going to try to make it in voiceover because that's the only thing I can do. And I'm going to just put all the rest of this money into trying to make it here and find the doctors that can hopefully fix me. And that's what I did. It was just huge leap of faith. And I found the doctors who could fix me. And I met my husband and I got my first animation agent and I started my rehab. And it was like this very long process. And again, I had to relearn how to walk in that time. I actually had to relearn how to use my hands, which was horrible.
So for a while, were you just in bed or were you kind of walking with a walker? Like
I could I had a wheelchair for about 1.5 years. And it was the kind of thing where I could stand up for like a few moments, like to transition to things, but it was really, really painful. And at first I could only walk for like a minute or two at a time. And then so it was just building up.
Yeah.
And, I think the hands were the worst because not being able to use your hands is just the worst. I had to cut all my hair off. I had to shave basically shave my head.
Because what?
Because I couldn't physically comb and take care of my hair anymore.
Sorry, I thought for a second you were losing it because of something.
No, we cut it off.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. I just literally couldn't. I had like a little boy cut because I just couldn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Every single time was just trying to edit an audition. I had my uncle is a music producer and he edited all my auditions for me during that year because I could not do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had just so many angels just come and help me through this time. And my agent, I wasn't making him a ton of money yet, but he held on to me for whatever reason. When they see talent, they know it's not, and it's a numbers game. So the fact that you're not booking doesn't mean that you're not good. That's smart of this agent. No, he was one of my angels too. He took me on, and he took me when he went to AVO Talent. He went there, and he said, "You know what? I think you're going to do really well here." And that was, that's when everything took off for me. And they were just an amazing agent for me. And so yeah, it was just I I met my husband. He helped me get through all of it.
And he works at developing games.
He is. He's a video game developer. He's a huge video game developer. He's worked on, he worked on World of Warcraft, League of Legends.
Never heard of it. Nope. Never heard of it. Okay, indie stuff, like little things.
Yeah, just, a few little
up and
things.
coming. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's a total badass, basically, and he really helped define the art style for World of Warcraft, and so it's really fun. We go in and we look at stuff, and it's just his artwork just everywhere.
Wow!
I think he designed the armor sets for WoW. I'd have to ask him.
How cool! And you do...
But I'm bragging about you.
Yeah, bring him in.
Oh no, he doesn't want to be on camera. But you
designed
the armor sets for WoW, right? Really? What, a lot of them? The original armor sets. Yeah.
What about OW? Has he worked for Overwatch?
Oh yeah, he did work on Overwatch. Yeah.
What did he do for that?
I can't. Well, again, he worked primarily as an artist with most of these.
Okay.
I think he was an art director at League. At Riot. He did work on League for a while, and then also some, other independent, stuff that they had in development.
That's amazing.
And I think he was like a lead artist at Blizzard. But yeah, so he and I.
Wow. Yeah.
And on our first date, that was actually one of the things. Like, I laughed, and he said, "Your laugh sounds really familiar." And
No.
and I was like, and I guess my laugh is Annie's laugh for the League of Legends. Out here, it's hard to laugh like different than your actual laugh. So that's my laugh, and it's the second time I've been recognized with my laugh. I had someone recognize me in an airport with my laugh.
No way. So what does Annie laugh like?
I can't. Well, this is my laugh, but I'm trying to think of. It's probably something like that.
So you did a moo. How does Annie sound just when she talks?
I'm trying to think. She's very spunky. I'm trying to think one of her lines. Eeny, meeny, miny, burn! Yeah, trying to think of, you smell like burning. So she's a pyromaniac, and she's very excited about setting things on fire. And she's like, what's your favorite aminal? A bear?
Aminal?
Yes, aminal. People ask me all the time, isn't it animal? Or are you saying aminal on purpose? I'm saying aminal. It is aminal.
Oh my god, you're so cute. Also, your eyelashes, on you in person make you just so cute when you do these voices. I can't handle it. Have you seen my bear Tibbers? Does she say that?
Have you seen my bear Tibbers?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, she has a bear that gets really big and eats everybody.
Okay, can I tell you a funny story? I taught a voiceover class for a voice acting school in San Francisco. I'm sure you've taught there. If you haven't, I need to recommend you. Thank you. Yes, yeah.
I taught them for several years.
Oh, sweet. So I did a video game class for them. I've done two, but I compiled a bunch of scripts and stuff to just have them audition for stuff, and I could give them notes or whatever. And I was looking up some League of Legends characters because I wanted to put an image without much of a description and just 5 voice lines, the way we get, so they could audition. Yeah. And so, of course, I find a YouTube video and I'm going through them, and then I heard the eeny, meeny, miny, mo that you do, and I'm like, it's Christina! Yes! It was just really cool because I think that, I don't know. It was just fun to connect it all because, now that I really understand the gaming world, it's fun to look back on things that you did years and years ago. But
that was just I was one of the original characters. It was so old, and I didn't know what the game was because I was one of the first, and so I was.
Of course.
My husband on our first date told me what League of Legends was. I didn't know that he was like, "You're famous," and I was like, "Whatever." I thought he was just blowing smoke, Okay,
wait. How did we meet this husband and go on a first date? Was it through people? Because I'm curious if he knew that you were a voice actor and then he connected it, or how did this come out?
We did online dating. Thanks, okay.
Okay.
We totally, it was online dating, so we both knew a
little bit
about each other from our profiles, and and I'm so grateful to online dating because we would have never met in person because of just our nature of our job, so it just wouldn't have happened. But yeah, so I knew he worked for Riot, but I laughed, and he said, "Your laugh sounds really familiar. Have you ever done anything for Riot?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Let me look it up," and I was like. But I had written down that I had done something for Riot Games, but the game didn't even have a name when I did it. So I was like, I'm some character named Annie, Nunu, and Mumu? And I think I pronounced it wrong. And he was like, "You're Annie?" He totally flipped out. And I was like, and his whole face lit up. And he was like trying to show me, like on his phone, the scale of how big League of Legends was. And I was like, still kind of like, nah, like it's probably just some small thing with like a following. I had no idea. And
oh my God.
And then I went home and like really looked at it and I was like, oh, and I just had zero idea. I had zero idea. And it was amazing. It was
so cool. So wait, so the art nerd is asking, oh my God, it wasn't named at the time. They always have code names, right? Or they haven't decided the real name. And when we audition and then record, sometimes they still haven't fleshed it out. And then when it comes out, we don't connect that that's the one we worked on and it's changed names. So now we don't know if it was. That's where the confusion happened. Well, but of course, like when it was out, it had a name. Well, exactly. It's just, you didn't know probably.
That's exactly it. We get code names a lot. So we don't, I think at the time it was probably called like, I mean, I don't even remember, but Riot always has fun, silly code names.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was probably just like, Project Pineapple or something, who knows. But like I don't even remember, but yeah, I had zero idea. And so.
But that's even cooler. I think it's beautiful that like it was this future husband that's like, dude, you're famous. And it's not you going, I know I'm the shit. Like how, like, it's just awesome that it was just you, again, you coming from such a humble place. Like, I did this thing. I don't know what it is, but it was cool.
Well, I think it was interesting to me because I had like come to LA to like pursue and try to, become this great voice actor. And like, it was really interesting to get here and then find out. If you think about it, it's such an interesting thing to realize you already have done something, but you didn't even know you did it. Do you know what I mean? And so it was also sort of just in terms of reflecting on life. You may have already done something that was very valuable to someone or worthwhile or contributed in some way, and you just don't even know. And so it made me think of in terms of my own self-worth or my evaluation of what success is. There are ways in which you have touched the world that you don't even realize that you have. And you're on this journey where you're like, oh, I have to do this thing in this way. Not necessarily. You may have discovered that there's something else that already happened. And so it made me kind of judge success in a different way. Yeah. Now.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
You never know what's meaningful to somebody and how you've touched their lives. And yeah, it could just be something. I mean, I did that, I think, it was like an hour and I didn't even remember it. So I remembered it later, obviously, once we looked it up. But and the community was so amazing. Just amazing when they found out, that just the love when people found out who I was just great. And I wish I did more like videos and stuff with the voices. It's been harder. And just so people know, with my spinal injury rehab, that took 7 years of just concentration. So, and then I had a baby, which was so cool. And so that was, but anyway, I wish I did more. Hopefully I'll do more someday.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is hard to keep up with all the stuff that's happening, and we are constantly trying to not be on our screen so much. And you have a beautiful baby, and that takes up important time, and FaceTime, literally face to face. So, if you haven't done the videos, you're doing important stuff, and you're also recording constantly. Like the fact that you are quote unquote series regulars or whatever they're called in animation, you're recording weekly for things, or like you're in the booth constantly. I want to know what the first project was that you booked. And I know like you've been doing this since you were 8, and then like there's so many like milestones for you, but is there one gig that you go, like the first gig where you go, oh my God, I'm going to be the voice of this on this, and it's like on this like franchise that I love, or like was it Poison Ivy? Was it like what was the thing that came that like meant a big thing at the very beginning, right?
Yeah, my first animation booking was for Doc McStuffins, and that was the moment, and I cried when I saw it air. I just was just crying, and I framed my script, and it was like. Because I had done up until that point, I mean, I came here to do animation, but my whole previous career in NorCal was games, toys, and occasionally video games. But my primary area of voiceover was toys, actually. Toys. Yeah, and that's, for those of you who are Annie fans, that's a very, the let's play. Can you find the color blue? It's very, like, that's very toy. thing. And the thing is, I think the reason why it translates well to psychotic voices is because you can always, no, and it's true because it's very sunshiny, but it has to be sunshiny even when it's something bad. So, and that's the thing with toys. So it has to be like, oh, oops, Mom got sunburned. Can you help her? So it's very like, this terrible thing happened. Try again. And so it comes off really creepy and psychotic. But like, if you have to do toy work, that's how it works. Is like everything has to be encouraging to the child. But in a different context, that can become very weird. Like, really.
Well, that's how you got Charlene. So smartly. Yeah.
And so Charlene is like really excited about really dark things.
But it's really, and so the cuteness and just, so I think that whole training with the toy world of like having to make everything sunshiny even when it wasn't. Anyway, so that's, so my background, So anyway, the point is I wanted to do animation though. So animation, and most of my work has considered, now I'm booking in other realms, but most of it has been in these high-pitched, cute voices, and so
that was Lala the koala, and Lala is, she has a wisp, and she's a very small baby toy, and this was my first animation booking, and she was one of the baby's baby toys.
I just want to squeeze you. So cute.
So that was a huge deal for me. That was the moment where I realized, oh my God, I made it. Like for me, that was like, I made it. And so that was my first for sure.
Holy cow. Let's jump a little bit because you did that voice now. I'm curious about Charlene. When you auditioned for her, I think I also auditioned for Charlene actually, and it was totally different. And of course, it was whatever I was trying to do. But once you explained, we had a recording session for Victor and Valentino once, and you were explaining how it just has to be, even the creepy stuff has to be cheery, and then that's what makes it creepier. Like I've used that in auditions since. So thank you.
Good.
Yes.
No problem.
I listen. Everything I'm absorbing in, auditions. There's a natural gas leak on Stewart and Gray. I got an emergency alert. I don't know if that's near my house, but whatever. I think we're good.
Do you want to map it to be sure?
It should be fine. Let's see. I don't know how to do this.
Well, if you pass out, we'll know what happened.
My window's open. I think we're good. I'm paying attention when you talk and even in recordings because like you guys are just so brilliant, And so when you auditioned for Charlene, was the list always there? Did you tweak it a little bit? Like what? How did you get inspired for this and all of that stuff?
Well, I believe the audition said that she had a lisp.
Oh, okay.
And the audition, they wanted it to have a whistle to the lisp.
like this?
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but I practiced and I couldn't do the whistle. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to book this even though I feel like I'm like really good for this part because I can't do the whistle on the list. I remember I worked with a coach on it because I actually had a coach work with me on the audition because I felt so strongly that this part was for me. Just had my name written all over it because I had voiced psychotic children before with Anna.
Specializes in voicing psychotic children.
I love it. What I do. Yeah, I do best. So no, I know that's a weird little niche for me, and I love doing them. I think it's just they're so much fun.
You have a knack, clearly. Yeah.
So I enjoy them. I enjoy them so much. And so I did work with a coach. We tried to work on the whistle. Just couldn't quite make it work. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and do a normal lisp and hopefully they like it. And they did. And so that was just like amazing. And, but I think you're so right when you talk about just absorbing from other people because that's what a great voice actor does. I mean, honestly, my best education has always just been in studio watching these people around me. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Yes, so that's...
No, go on tangents. That's what this is. This is business. And they're all great because we're psychotic children specialists. Yes, meow.
Yes.
I think there's always been like this, and I think that also comes in with like Poison Ivy and stuff too. I tend to voice cute characters and then villains.
Ooh.
And so when I get a villain child, that's like my
jam.
I get very excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to, just voice spastic, energetic characters, very cute characters, young characters, and then villains. And so, and...
What's your Poison Ivy sound like?
Poison Ivy is interesting. So she actually has two different kind of sounds on the show. I'm trying to think of one of her lines, but So she'll have her poison ivy one, which is much, more
sensuous.
And we don't because it's a teen show, so we don't go too far in that. We didn't go too far with that because again, she's like a younger version of it. So what they wanted for Poison Ivy, what the casting thing said, is they wanted a mixture of Cersei Lannister and Ali Sheedy.
Okay.
They wanted Ali Sheedy for when she's in her persona, that's just her teen persona, like reject, like the girl in the corner who's like kind of awkward and strange, and like, I watched a lot of Ali Sheedy, and it's just like very imbalanced. Everything's kind of gritted teeth and just like, and then she's like totally weird all of a sudden. So that's kind of, just really like not socially adept. So that's kind of how she sounds. But then when she's in Poison Ivy mode, it'll be like, oh, how curious. For a moment there, I thought for sure you were Batman. And she's much more like, nothing green will ever grow there again. She's much more angry. There's much more. So, but they really wanted, and the reason why they told me I was one of the only people that really gave them a distinction between the two voices. That they really wanted it to be separate and different. So, Poison Ivy is much more in command, and she's much more controlled and much more.
She still has, even though you say it's a teen show, I still think you managed to find a little bit of the sensuality in there without making it over the top. I think it's really nice.
I try to honor the incredible women who have come before me in this role. And I get really emotional when I even think about being in this, honestly, to me, like line of royalty of women. Yeah. And I feel so honored to just be like there. I don't feel like, do you know what I mean? That just these women who have voiced this role are such incredible talents. And this role is so iconic. And it was just like the honor of my life to get to book that role. And so I try to throw in a little bit of, kind of how she feels, but here and there. But mostly in terms of not so much sensual. It's a little bit there, but really, if you think about it, it's more the fact that she's in control. Yeah. She has everything under control, and everything's easy for her, and she's not worried. But then there's this anger underneath there. And it's just that edge.
And you can feel the gritted teeth. You can hear it,
No, and then it's just she's so angry that people are just ruining the environment, and that's that rage. And rage is something I've discovered that I do really well.
You're like, I don't know what that means about myself, but
I do know what it means. It's interesting, and like I'm a very open book about this stuff, but it's just it's so true that what you book, it comes from here. There's something very deep, and it's the things that you connect with, which is what you book. And I remember one of the directors it was Lauren Faust for DC Superhero Girl. I was like, I tend to voice a lot of villains. She was like, I wonder what that says about you. And I was like, but it made me think about it, and I was like, and most people were like, you're such a sunshiny person. I don't understand. Like, you're so cute. She was like, they're so funny that you'd voice villains because you're so sweet. I'm like, but the reason.
But at night I kill people in my sleep.
No, but you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's actually that, and this is the true essence of villains. I've actually had a lot of pain in my life. I had a very, very hard childhood, and I'm not going to go into specifics about it, but I had a very, there was some really serious trauma that I had, and I had a very, very painful, my parents had a very broken, terrible time growing up, and there was just so much repression, pain, anger, emotionally, and then with my accident too, there was a lot that I had to go through with all of that, and I think true villains, they're not bad people, really, in their own minds and hearts. What they think and feel, that is their truth. Yeah. They believe they are justified, and they're very angry. Somewhere along the line, something went terribly wrong in their mind for how they reacted to some sort of trauma or injustice. And that is the essence of a great villain. And that's what the best villains, you understand them, you empathize with them. You see where their mind has split and they've taken some form of reasoning that's not normal, not a healthy way to cope. Yeah. But, like the Joker is a beautiful example. And in the most recent movie, that's why it was so powerful, because you can see how this happened to this person, and their rage and where it comes from and why it's so intense, but that leads them down this path of destruction and anger. And instead of finding a better outlet, a healthier outlet for it, that's where they go. And so I think that is why I tend to voice darker characters and villains and child villains, because I, by nature, am a very sunshiny person. I'm a very like upbeat, really outgoing, silly person, but I've had a lot of pain in my life. And so when I have a role that it requires pain or emotional, like where that inner rage, I can find that. And when it meets the cuter part of my brain, which is like just kind of, that's more of me.
Yeah.
And it's like this perfect mixture. And so those roles for me are like just so me.
Yeah.
That I think that's why they tend to just jump out at me, and I love them. I work extra hard on them. I love doing them. So
that's amazing. Yeah. And that makes so much sense, right? Because villains, they didn't just come out of nowhere, right? They had a tough, even like, I was thinking about Jessica Jones's villain, and he's this narcissist who is so horrible to her. But when you do see the little crack in him, he's played by the British, Irish, Scottish, I forget his name. Anyway, he's so brilliant. Yeah. But he, you see the crack, and then you're like, oh my God, he's got so much pain. He's got so much anger that's repressed and all these things. And it's just, we weren't taught how to let them go. I've learned so much about all of this so much during quarantine, because all of a sudden we're, dealing with emotions that we were like, I don't have that regular outlet I would have before. How do I do to process this, And we realized that as kids, we learn to repress anger or sadness or whatever. Don't cry, it's okay, don't cry. And you're like, but I need to cry, and so that's like, just, it starts teaching us things to do that aren't necessarily healthy, right? So
right, or normally we have distraction, we have socialization, we have places we can go and get out and get our mind off, and those are healthy ways to cope. And when we're all stuck inside, it's all the monsters come out to play because you're sitting there alone in a room. And I know I haven't been alone, and I've talked to other people that are like, yeah, I'm not coping with this well, and I'm like, yeah, me neither. And the world is not working. Maybe that's why I'm booking a lot. Got lots of good whatever. No,
well, it is. I read a quote recently of like, if we have all these fears and demons, let's just ask them to come out and we'll make friends with them. And it's like, oh yeah, we need to just start like connecting a little bit more with our fears. But maybe that's why, actors do have this connection, this outlet. I've auditioned for some characters where I realize I can go from 0 to 100 in anger. And I'm like, wow, where did that come from? And it's just because we are trying to cope with so many things. And like, I think that auditions, if it's only that, they're helping us get through some stuff in the day,
I agree. Honestly, it's such an emotional release. And I think that's actually been one of the reasons, like I was mentioning that even though I had a baby now, and I'm like, most of the time I'm recording on like 5 to 6 hours of sleep tops, like usually 5.5. And it's been that way for a good year.
Oh my God.
And I was like, how am I going to do this on sleep deprivation like this? But you find your inner mommy strength and you do your thing. But like, I just got to this point where I started being like, well, whatever. And like, and it doesn't mean I don't, like, I work really hard on the audition, but I started taking more chances.
Yeah.
I started just doing some whatever crazy stuff. I was like, whatever. And then I used to put those like second. Now I don't. Now I just put them front.
Done.
Me too. Yes.
Now I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. I'm gonna put it out front. You don't like it, whatever. Yeah. I'll make you laugh, probably.
So I'll explain this to the chat, but usually we do 2 takes for an audition, and we do one that like we think is what they want, and then we do a second one where usually it's like another accent with a different kind of voice, and there might be a little more zany, and we always put it second just so we don't scare them at the top. But lately I've been putting my really zany option at the top because I go, what am I going to lose? They might really love it.
Well, right, and it's like, and that's what I realized, like, there's going to be 20 other girls who are fantastic that are going to have that nice safe take out in front, and everybody sounds great. Why not just be like the one in the front where it's just like,
yeah.
At least it might just kind of like jostle them, and they're listening to hours of this stuff, and then they can have a safe take later if they made it through the crazy one. See what you did.
For sure, if we didn't scare them off.
Whatever. I just like got to this point. I was like, I'm just gonna do whatever. And
I've heard so many casting directors or voice directors that say, oh, since your first line you had us. And so sometimes if it is that zany thing they're looking for and we grab them there, then it makes all the difference. So before I move on to talking about Baby Carlitos, we have the art nerd showed up a little late. She did some Amumu lines, but I would love to revisit Amumu because what an interesting character.
Sure. Let me find some of his lines. I'm gonna up my gain a little bit, but like,
yeah.
Hey, what's up? Hey, the art nerd. Amumu was really interesting because, like, we did the session and they were like, we don't know if anybody's really gonna like this character. We don't really know if this character is gonna work. But yeah, and and it was so funny because it ended up having this huge following. But yeah, some of his lines are, hey, come back. Oh, let's find some friends. Will you play with me? Let me give you a hug. He doesn't have like a lot of lines, because again, he was one of the oldest characters. But yeah, so he's just really wants some friends and he wants to play. But yeah, but yeah, he's just really depressed. Yeah, as soon as I go, I want to cry. No, he wants to cry, is what it is. He's just very sad.
They're wondering, did you do the old voice of Nunu? Who's Nunu? Oh, cool.
I did. I was the original Nunu, and I was Nunu for, I don't know, totally 9 or 10 years.
Is that also on League? No.
It is on League,
okay.
But they redid it. They did an update, and it's a little boy voice, and I got a real little boy. And I think it's just wonderful. Like, I love the Nunu update. It's adorable. It's, like, really great. I love it. It was so cute because people were like, I want you to know that Nunu has been reading. I'm like, it's fine. Like, it's great. I love it. It's beautiful.
But yeah, Nunu was like really like a rough and tumble kind of kid. It's like swallowed you whole, yet he knows the way. He sounded like that for those of you who remember the old Nunu.
But now he's a real little boy.
So cute. Did you know that Annie and Amumu are friends? Voob is asking. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, no, Annie and Amumu have, like, there's a lot of fan stuff where they do, like, little romances between the two, and, like, it's a whole thing. So,
fun. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So, again, they're just some of the oldest characters, and so they, they've been very beloved by many people, which is such an honor.
And these games also just go on kind of forever and ever. World of Warcraft and League, like they've had this life that's so long.
Yeah, no, there's a statue of Annie at Riot, like it's in their entryway. Like you walk in and there's this like I don't even know how tall, massive statue of Annie and Tibbers. And I first went in there.
That's a big deal.
I was just like, oh my! I have a picture of it.
Yeah.
Somewhere,
oh my god.
Just blew my mind. So, yeah,
I went to Riot once. I want to go back now that I work on Valorant. I kind of just want to visit the campus because I haven't been.
You should. It's amazing. I just lucked out because my husband worked there, so I got to.
Yeah. Like, super.
Yeah, it's an incredible campus. So.
I love it. So there's a funny request. My Overwatch character Sombra says something about her teddy bear, and they're wondering if you can say the same line as Annie and Amumu.
Sure. I'll repeat after you.
Yeah. So I go, and actually, it'd be interesting. She does it in a Spanish accent. But I'm talking to a hamster who's another character in Overwatch, and I say, "You remind me of my teddy bear Arturito, but he's way cuter."
Okay, you remind me of my teddy bear
Arturito,
but he's way cuter.
Yeah. You remind me of my teddy bear. What was it?
Arturito.
You remind me of my teddy bear Arturito, but he's way cuter. You remind me of my teddy bear Arturito, but he's way cuter.
I love it. So good. Okay, so talk to me about baby Carlitos, and yeah, I mean, you just make noises.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of this lately, and it's like my favorite work. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of like gibberish stuff. Obviously, I can't talk about what I'm working on, but like, just babbly, just nonverbal stuff.
So originally I did all these little characters that were like this, and so it wasn't like a big stretch to get into the baby stuff. I just kept getting younger and younger, and so eventually I went
So
holy cow.
So that's what I do is I make weird noises. So.
I love it. So do you talk to your baby like this sometimes? Or you're like, nah, that's weird?
I don't, only because it's vocally very tiring. And I have to like do a really long warm up before I can get into it. But I imitate him a lot because he's very helpful.
He teaches you.
He does. He teaches me all the time. So I use Baby Carlitos has a lot of my son in there. So like he would say gag a lot. So there's a lot of gag, 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 and ba, ba, ba. And those are common, like baby. I've spent hours and hours just listening to baby babble. There's certain syllables they'll use. They spit a lot more than you would think. So just like, like, yeah, they do, like very slobbery. So I try to throw a lot of that in. Their laughs are very particular. But I had a baby project a while ago where I had to just do hours and hours of baby stuff. And it just became, I just did so much of it that I started getting better at it, obviously. And then I started looking more of it, so.
So yeah, that's so good. It's fun. It's so fun.
That's amazing. I've definitely felt a little self-conscious when I have to audition for baby stuff. Like, I got an awesome 7-year-old kid in me that can be a real asshole, and it's great because he's got attitude. But the baby stuff, I feel like, I sound not so great. Maybe I'll leave it to Christina.
It's honestly been, I've just spent a lot of time listening to babies. Like, I again, just one project. I did it before. But then just one project, it was literally just hours and hours and hours of it. And so I watched hours and hours of Baby Babble, and I just mimicked it. And we had to make, it was actually a toy product, and we had to do like 6 different babies. And so I had to differentiate between all the babies, and they all had to have their own like little syllables that they used. And so I had to learn how to, okay, this one we're going to use ba and ga, and then this one we're going to use, L's and or whatever, D's. And so every single one I had to do Baby Babble in only those syllables. And so, and then they'd have all these emotions. Now you're happy, now you're sad, now you're crying, now you're hungry. And so, again, I think toy work is actually great training for animation, especially with the nonverbal stuff. So, I just...
Everyone is upset, it's interested in something,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I don't know. The squeals are important. And
they do a little soft, And then they do lots of, lots of, it's very...
It's amazing. I'm just like, I'm sure the chat's like this, like I am. Holy cow, so good.
So, and then they get angry. Again, it's just vocally very tiring. So it's just, again, they're very tiring voices, but so I don't do a ton of it, but it's become one of my favorites because it's just...
Oh, how cool. But it is like this crazy range of like communicating without words,
Yeah. So, and I love work like that where it's just like, and now I've been doing some other stuff that's more like kind of little animals and things like that, where it's kind of the same skill set where you don't really have many words. You just go in and you're like, weird, just, but cute little things. And
Have you worked for Madagascar yet?
No. I want to.
Well, because I don't really sing. I try, but for that one, I'm constantly auditioning for Latinx characters that have to sing. So I do my little like Mexican alpaca, or Peruvian alpaca, or my Mexican whatever, and then I'll go into my song, and it's not great, but I really hope that hopefully you are getting those. Because when you don't sing and you're trying, it's a character song, but it's not a beautiful sounding song.
I'm in. My parents are professional singers, so like I'm much harsher on my own judgment of my singing. Like I think I'm an okay singer, but that's again because like I grew up with a PhD and a master's in voice, where I'm just like, okay, these are the real.
Right, but and of course, if it's like Trolls and have Justin Timberlake, sure, right? But I think that there's a lot of characters that can just sing in their character voice, and it's the character that's bringing that song to life, not the beautiful singing. So
that's actually my strength. I actually struggle to sing in my own voice. I string much better in character voices. So
likewise.
Yeah, it's just if I have to sing in my own voice, I'm like I don't know what that is.
Yeah, totally.
Where that is,
so question. I'll let you rest from the baby voice because I'm going to ask you to do some other voices. But talk to me about Jessica Cruz. I was confusing both because when you were talking about Poison Ivy and her 2 sides, I was like, right, because she has anxiety issues, and I was like, no, it's Jessica, right, who has social anxiety, and I would love you to talk more about that because I think it's beautiful. Oh, and my question is, do you have another 8 to 10 minutes? We started a little late. Can we go past, or are you?
No.
Okay, cool.
That's fine. I do have a job at 2. I have to prepare.
Oh, no. I'll get you out at 1:10. We're good. I just wanted to make sure, going past 1 was okay.
Yeah. So Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
So Jessica was that was again such an oops, I'm gonna up my gain a little bit here. That was such an unexpected booking, and I was so excited about it, and I got to do a bunch of stuff for her. And I think Jessica, again, because I've had a lot of difficult things in my life. One of the issues that I actually have dealt with a lot is anxiety. I definitely, and it's hard. It's like I don't want to talk about it a lot. Like it's very personal. But again, I also realize that Jessica Cruz's following is massive with people who have anxiety because they feel like they finally have a hero.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And also that you can have anxiety and still do good things in the world and contribute and be valuable.
And it's okay to have anxiety. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. You just need to learn how to cope with it for yourself.
Right, and that it doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing things that take tremendous courage. And so I just think she's an incredibly complex and deep, wonderful character. And I do actually suffer from anxiety. And so I think that role was just very me, honestly. Just
personal.
being me. So, I definitely voiced like more the younger versions of her. There's been someone else who's voiced her for like some more older, serious roles. And the nature of my voice is a little lighter. But yeah, I still had the honor of being her very first voice actor and getting to voice her probably more than.
And she's Hispanic.
Yes, she is.
Which is great because we've lacked a little bit of representation there. So.
Yeah, no, and that's been such an honor again to represent. Our
what does she sound like when she talks?
It depends on the venue, but she just has like a touch of an accent. It's really not much of one. It's just like barely there, just casi nada. But throwing a little bit here and there, which is on a few words. But really, her voice is just kind of mine. For her teenage role, it's just a little bit higher. But really, it's just kind of my natural voice. It's not really anything.
It's still so smooth and delicious. My God, you really do have a stunning voice.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Really? Wow.
You're so sweet. Thank you. That means a lot to me coming from you.
I am very serious about these things. So you do a lot of high-pitched, smooth, young-sounding voices. Tell me if there's been an opportunity to work on a role that's like down here, or an accent that's totally unexpected, or like throw some of those at me, because those are really fun.
Oh, sure. We did an Irish Scottish accent recently for DC Superhero Girls for a character. I played the Silver Banshee character, and that was really fun. So that one was really, really just.
Holy shit! And she's a little lower. It's kind of
right. It was more just my and so that was a much more. Like in my natural range, trying to remember some of her lines, but that was a blast. I had a wonderful time doing it. I worked with a dialect coach to make sure it was right. I'm very precise. I like to have it, accurate if I'm going to try to portray the culture. So that was really fun. But I'm trying to remember some of it. But she had it was like just one episode or like two at the most. But that one was really fun. Doing Reynalda for Victor and Valentino.
Oh my God! Yes, I forgot about her.
So, Reynalda's like this, Reynaldo, that's fun. So, Reynalda sounds like that. So yeah, she's very.
She is so ridiculous, man. It's so funny. I love watching you and Ryan go at it. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so that one is definitely out of my normal, like cute little kid stuff. Again, Poison Ivy was more out of, my normal thing. I do actually other stuff for commercial work, which people would like get, they're like, oh, like, because I do actually have like a lower range that's like very different. And actually, there's something that hasn't come out yet, but it's more in this kind of range. I wouldn't even know like what to describe this sound, but
it's so amazing to hear it coming out of you. What do you do? A lot of promo stuff or commercials for like brands?
I do a lot. I do a lot of commercial work, and I do a lot of narration work as well. I do kind of a lot of everything, and I'm sure you probably get a lot of that too, because being bilingual is just such a huge.
I book more commercial work in Spanish than in English because I have a really neutral sounding, and I can do like more Colombian or more Mexican depending on the Spanish stuff. But no, it's not like it's a ton, But I am curious when I hear these like smoldering, like delicious Sissy Jones voices,
she's Well, I did Ashley Home Store for a while. I've been doing Ashley Home Store in English and Spanish, and that was been tu casa, tu hogar is like very that's in this kind of lower.
In Spanish.
Yeah, I did English and Spanish, so that one
cool.
was really
That's
cool.
a good gig. Yeah.
Oh, God. It's very just.
Yeah.
I can't remember some of the other lines, but yeah, that's more in that lower range. I do. I've been the voice of Hooters for a really long time.
Shut the front door. I love it. What's that like?
I've been the voice of Hooters now for I think like 5 or 6 years.
So it's not a prerequisite to like be ginormous to work for them.
No, it's just that one always cracks me up. I couldn't believe that they booked me, but they really wanted someone perky. So
of course. Because I feel like that's what they want their waitresses to sound like.
Right, so I didn't realize, not sexy at all. Like, that's not the thing. Yeah,
okay, cool.
No, everything's supposed to be just like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, welcome to Hooters. I do all of, check out this cheeseburger, and now you can do, like, I think their whole commercial is like, now you can watch the game with your buddies. All your buddies. But it's like, just...
Yeah, it's a little more...
Yeah.
Funny.
Lunch won't fight you for the remote. It's just this very kind of almost teenager.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
I don't tell a ton of people about it, but I'm going to tell all of you because
yes, and they will be on the internet forever.
I just think it's funny. It's just fun. It's actually really fun to work for.
Of course.
They've been really nice. But yeah, I do a lot of stuff for them. Again, it's fine. They're fun.
They're gigs, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and video games. You've done a lot of video game work. What would you say is like the kind of go-to? You are so talented and so diverse in all the sounds. I feel like just like you get these high-pitched things, I get a lot of gravelly, like big nurses or whatever. Like what in your video game world? What is it kind of that you book?
It's usually the kid stuff, to be honest. That's usually where I end up. I can't. Girl, those gravelly voices just destroy me. You
really?
Do them, man. Oh my God. I'll know anytime I'm getting like Carolina's got it because I can't. They rip me up. I can't do it.
I haven't really booked anything that I've auditioned for with that voice, but Diego calls me in for incidentals all the time, and then like a little guest star of that episode, and then I'll just show up, and it's this big ass nurse with a unibrow. I got to imagine she talks like this because I can't imagine anything else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
But yeah.
No, it's perfect. It's so good. I can, but it just rips me up. I just like, I don't know, can't do it. I don't know how you ladies do it, but every time I see one of those, I'm like, I'll let you other ladies do it because I can't. It will just mess me up.
To be fair, I don't think I've worked like a 4-hour session and then like a weekly session where I'm talking like this the whole time.
Well, yeah.
Yes, it would maybe start wearing. I've just played smaller characters that sound like that.
Well, yeah, so, but I'm done in like half an hour with that. Like that. I'm done so fast. I can't do them at all.
Oh my gosh.
Even little boy voices I can't do for super long. So I've done some stuff with little boy voices, but like a 4-hour session is very taxing for me.
You know that I auditioned to play Victor.
Did you? I think you were fantastic.
He was funny. Like, it would have been a funny version. I couldn't be happier that it's Diego. I think Diego has the best, like, laugh and grasp on this character. Not gonna lie, I do love playing little kids that are kind of dickish because they always have this little attitude. And, like Victor, Valentino's so sweet and Victor is such a dick. And I remembered, I was like, Diego, I keep forgetting who's Victor and who's Valentino. And he goes, Vic's a dick. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, okay, cool.
There you go.
So that worked. But Christina gets the niños, Carolina gets the savage abuelas. Sure, that works. Absolutely.
Hey, everybody's got their strength.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a bazillion different ways we can go, I'm
trying to think other video game stuff. Like I've done a lot of stuff for Shadowverse, and it's always more like teenage kind of, in that kind of teen realm. I think at Maple Story 2, I did some things. So I'll do like the teen voices usually, just and different accents and things too. I think I did. I'm trying to remember even what I did recently, but yeah, I'll do it for Shadowverse. I've done British accents, like Russian accents, all kinds of stuff.
What's your British? Do you go into something very posh or what?
No, of course, it's definitely RP. I would say is the more. I mean, I'm not like a British expert or anything. But, but they're very regal sort of voices. So the stars are up in the heavens, or something like that. And
I feel like a lot of fantasy video games, League for sure. Every character has to speak heightened, and it's not British, but it's not Middle America, what's it called? Mid-Atlantic. It's just kind of this like heightened thing where we enunciate everything very carefully.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely got that you kind of naturally want to do it with something that's kind of regal. So
Yeah.
So I do a lot of that kind of stuff for video games.
As we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with the viewers that's coming up that you're excited about, where they can find you on social media? What life lesson you'd love to leave, little nuggets of wisdom of living a happy, balanced life?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have any advice for anyone for living a happy, balanced life, but in terms of like, I'm still adjusting to being a mom, so I think that's been, sort of my pursuit. I would say for those, I think the only things I would say, especially to like Jessica Cruz fans or other people that deal with, have dealt with a lot of pain in their life or anxiety or things of that nature. I guess I would just want to say, like, you're not alone, and it doesn't mean that you can't go out there and do awesome things. I think I was very lucky in that, I was raised that performing was a safe space because that's my parents' happy place. And so I often think about, if I had let my anxiety gone, like I would have never done what I do now. Yeah. If my anxiety had gone into that area. And so I just think we're so much more powerful than we think. It's just that, our minds will end up blocking us in so many ways. And so, that I'm scared of things every day, every single day. And, there's so many times where I book something, I go in there, I'm just terrified. I'm in there and like D is right there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do this in front of D.
D probably admires you so much.
I don't know about that, but he's been very kind to me, very, very sweet. And it's one of those things where I always just want to tell people because, again, I've had, I would say probably a harder life. Even if you have had a harder life, it does not mean that you can't, contribute to the world and do great things. And even if you're terrified, just be willing to try because you probably have something very unique and special to offer because of that pain and because of what you've been through.
Absolutely.
It can color and bring wonderful things. And so there's so much you can flip around to offer good things into the world and contribute. That's really kind of how I've reflected back on my life. So
thank you. That's huge. And I think that especially in the pandemic, we've learned about that a lot. Being on our own and learning to cope with stuff and how do we get our own head out of that anxious, snowball that's happening and reset or just feel it, process it and let it go. There's so much there. Thank you for sharing that. I have to shout out 3 subscriptions. I like to ask my guests to help me shout them out in a funny voice. So what I say is I thank them. I say their tag and then you go, thank you, blah, 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 in Amumu's voice or in Charlene's voice or whatever you'd like.
Okay.
So we have, the Sombra voice line we did for Maisie Grobe, and it was, have you seen my teddy bear, Arturito? You did that, but please say hi to Maisie Grobe.
Maisie Grobe? Maisie Grobe?
Yeah, Maisie Grobe.
Maisie Grobe.
Hi, Maisie Grove. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Maisie Grobe is Danny, who's taking care of our Twitch. Yeah. It's cute. She has all these names. Cobra Fox, 18 subscribed with Prime.
18 subscribed with Prime? Is that what I'm saying?
Cobra Fox. Thank you. Oh, you just say thank you, Cobra Fox.
Wait, thank you, Cobra Fox. Thanks a lot.
And Wub cheered 100 bits.
Cheered 100 bits?
Sure, yes.
All right, I'm going to say that in baby for you.
And the last one subscribed for 4 months is Magical Hobo 72.
Magical Hobo 72, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were here with all of us.
I'm sorry, you just made me a little bit nervous. I need to reset. Ooh, that's really awesome. Holy cow. Great voice. Thank you. Guys, thank you for watching. Christina, I know you've been really busy. You've had some crazy life changes happen in the last year. Thank you for coming on and making time for us. I know a lot of people have been very excited. So I really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you for the honor of being here. Honestly, I am such a nerd for Sombra, and I think you're a tremendous voice actor. And honestly, it's an honor to get to hang with you, and just I'm glad to see your face because I've missed seeing everyone. So thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you. And guys, keep booming and booping.